Karmelo Anthony's family is also talking tonight. They believe the trial was unfair from the start. They do plan to appeal. Our Ken Molestina to continue now.
After the trial, Karmelo Anthony's parents, Andrew Anthony and Kayla Hayes, sat down to break their silence and to let the world know how they're feeling as their son begins his 35-year sentence for murder. Despite what a jury found, his parents dispute their son ever wanted to kill Austin Metcalf.
My son is no murder. My son didn't intend to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself. And that's what hurt so bad.
His mother recounts the moment she addressed the jury and made her plea to them during the sentencing phase.
To have mercy on my son. That's what I told the jury. I know they had their minds made up already, so, I mean, really wasn't much I could say to change their mind.
Both parents fighting back emotions and tears as they described what they believe was a flawed trial.
We were delusional. We thought we was going to get a fair shake.
They claimed there were inconsistencies from the get-go, despite witnesses who took an oath vowing to tell the truth.
Everyone actually lied on the stand.
Everyone.
All of the witnesses' statements were inconsistent. All of them.
His father says the court of public opinion had made up their mind about his son long before the trial began.
He was convicted when he walked out of the jail. If you looked at the news all last year, he was already convicted. If you look at it, it was already done. It was no innocent until proven guilty. He was already guilty.
He says the threats of violence against them continue.
People want us dead. That's what.
After they still got what they wanted.
After they still got what they want, they still want us dead. I can see, you see, I go look at my phone, people want us dead. They want our family dead.
And now they're preparing to appeal.
They did a number on us.
A judicial process they believe wronged them.
We didn't get justice. A lot of things that were missed that should have been handled a certain way. However, we couldn't say anything. We did what was instructed. We was told, so we just did what we was told.
A 19-year-old boy sits inside a Texas courtroom. He is no longer wearing a school uniform. He is no longer a student-athlete with a future stretching out in front of him. He is now a convicted murderer, and the jury just handed him 35 years. But here is where the story takes a turn. Less than 24 hours after that gavel came down, he filed an appeal. Not weeks later, not after consulting lawyers for months. The next day, and the reason behind that appeal, it may be the most explosive part of this entire case. Because when Karmelo Anthony walked into that courtroom to face a jury of his peers, there was not a single black juror in that room. Not one. His defense team raised the alarm during jury selection. They filed a Batson challenge, arguing that the prosecution deliberately removed black candidates from the jury pool. The judge looked at the evidence and denied it, so a black teenager accused of murder was judged entirely by a jury that did not look like him. And now, his lawyers are taking that argument all the way to the Fifth Court of Appeals in Dallas. But wait, there is another layer to this story that has the internet furious. After his conviction, Karmelo Anthony filed a declaration of financial indigency. His words, he described himself as penniless, destitute, and indigent. Too poor to afford a lawyer. Except a crowdfunding campaign in his name had already raised over $615,000 so dollars. Where did that money go? June 1, 2026. Collin County Courthouse, McKinney, Texas. Jury selection begins. Over the following days, more than 20 witnesses take the stand for the prosecution alone. Students who were standing right there. Investigators, medical experts, people who watched it happen and could not unsee it. The defense put forward one argument and held it firmly throughout, that Karmelo acted out of fear. That in that moment, surrounded by chaos, he believed his life was in danger. That what looked like murder to prosecutors was survival to him. The prosecution was having none of it. They told the jury this was plain, deliberate violence. That Anthony reached into his bag, made a threat, and followed through on it. That Austin Metcalf pushed him, and instead of walking away, Anthony pulled out a knife. "You do not get to meet a shove with a stab," the prosecutor told the jury. 8 days of testimony, dozens of witnesses, hours of arguments on both sides. Then, on June 9th, the jury walked back into that courtroom after just 3 hours, guilty. First-degree murder. The room shifted. Anthony was remanded immediately into custody. Within hours, he was moved out of Collin County Jail and transported to a TDCJ processing center in Huntsville. Then assigned to the PAC unit near Navasota, a real prison, not a holding cell. 2 days later, the same jury returned for sentencing. 35 years. Under Texas law, he will not see a parole board until he has served at least half of that 17.5 years minimum. He was 19 years old when they read that number out loud, 35 years. Most people in that position take time to process, to grieve, to sit with the weight of what just happened. Karmelo Anthony did not wait. Within 24 hours of that sentence being handed down, his legal team had already moved. A notice of appeal was filed with the Fifth Court of Appeals in Dallas, one of the fastest post-conviction filings observers had seen in a case of this magnitude. But the appeal itself was only half the story. Alongside that filing came something that stopped people mid-scroll when it hit the internet. A declaration of financial indigency, signed by Anthony himself, stating plainly that he lacked the personal resources to fund his own defense going forward, that he needed the state to step in and appoint him a public defender at government expense. The public reaction was immediate, because people remembered the fundraiser. During the months leading up to trial, a campaign on GiveSendGo had pulled in over $615,000 from supporters across the country, people who believed in his innocence, people who saw racial injustice at the center of the case, people who simply felt moved to contribute. $615,000 raised in his name, and now, indigent, the platform moved quickly to address the outrage. GiveSendGo confirmed that the fundraiser had been shut down following the conviction and that every dollar collected had already been dispersed. All of it consumed by pre-trial legal costs, attorney fees, expert witnesses, preparation. Nothing sitting in an account somewhere, gone before the verdict even arrived. Whether that explanation satisfied the public is a different conversation entirely. But underneath all of that noise sits the actual legal argument, the one that attorneys say carries real weight inside an appellate courtroom. During jury selection, Anthony's defense raised a Batson challenge, a formal legal objection arguing that prosecutors had systematically removed black candidates from the jury pool, not based on legitimate concerns, but based on race. The presiding judge denied the motion. The trial proceeded, and when 12 jurors finally sat down to decide Karmelo Anthony's fate, not one of them was black. That detail did not disappear after the verdict. It followed him straight into the appeal, and legal experts say it may be his strongest argument yet. The notice of appeal has been filed. The courtroom doors in McKinney, Texas have closed behind Karmelo Anthony, possibly for the last time. He is no longer a defendant waiting for judgment. He is an inmate. Assigned to the PAC unit near Navasota, inside the Texas Department of Criminal Justice System, beginning what could be nearly 2 decades behind bars before he even qualifies for parole consideration. 17.5 years minimum. He will be 36 years old at the earliest possible opportunity to walk free, assuming everything goes in his favor from this point forward. But nothing about this case has gone predictably so far. The Batson challenge remains the centerpiece of everything his appellate attorneys are building toward. During selection, prosecutors used their peremptory strikes to remove black candidates from the jury pool. The defense flagged it, the judge dismissed it, and the trial moved forward with an all-white jury deciding the outcome of a black teenager's life. Appellate attorney David Cole, who has handled cases at this level for decades, has already weighed in publicly. He acknowledged the jury reached its decision quickly, but reminded everyone that speed is not the issue on appeal. The question an appellate court asks is not whether the jury got it right. The question is whether the process that led them there was legally sound. That is an entirely different standard. And on the Batson issue specifically, legal observers say the argument has legs. Meanwhile, Austin Metcalf's family is carrying something no courtroom verdict fully addresses. His parents sat through every day of testimony. His twin brother stood at that podium during sentencing and spoke directly to the person convicted of ending his brother's life. They pursued accountability through every legal channel available to them, and they got it. But an appeal reopens the wound. Every filing, every hearing, every news cycle pulls them back into the worst moment of their lives. That is the part that rarely makes the headlines. Two families, two teenagers, one moment at a track meet on a rainy afternoon in Frisco, Texas, and the aftermath that neither of them will ever fully escape. The Fifth Court of Appeals will now decide what comes next. This case is far from over. If you made it this far, you already know this case is bigger than a single verdict. The appeal is live. The legal arguments are building. And when new developments drop on this case, this channel will be the first place to break it down for you clearly, deeply, and without the noise. So if you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. Hit that button. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And before you go, drop a comment below. I want to know one thing. Do you think Karmelo Anthony will win this appeal, yes or no? Tell me why. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to see it. Every share puts this story in front of someone who may never have heard Austin Metcalf's name, and that matters. There are more cases coming, more stories that deserve this kind of attention, more victims whose names should not be forgotten. This is just the beginning. Stay locked in.